You've seen them everywhere, on pontoons, fishing boats, even rescue fleets, the quiet Yamaha four-strokes that just won't die. But are these mid-range workhorses really that legendary? Or just coasting on reputation? Let's find out how good they actually are. When Yamaha says mid-range, they're talking about that sweet 75 to 150 horsepower zone. Engines like the F90, F115, and F150. The ones you see bolted to the back of every center console, pontoon, and bay boat from Maine to Miami. They're not headline grabbers. They don't get TikToks made about them. But quietly, they're the heartbeat of weekend boating. The truth is, mid-range Yamahas are the engines you buy when you've grown out of the more horsepower fixes everything phase. They're like that friend who always shows up early, brings snacks, and somehow still drives you home when your night goes sideways. They're steady, sensible, and just powerful enough to make you forget you're being responsible. Under the cowling, the F90 and F115 share Yamaha's lightweight 1.8-liter inline-4 block, while the F150 steps up to a 2.7-liter version. Nothing radical, just proven architecture, smart EFI, and enough alternator output to keep all your gadgets alive. That's the Yamaha way. Keep the tech invisible, let the owner take the credit. If you hang around a marina long enough, you'll notice something. Everyone's got a story about an old Yamaha that just wouldn't quit. Mechanics call them easy money because they rarely show up except for oil changes. They're not glamorous, but when it's Sunday morning, your trailer's hooked up, and your neighbor's Mercury still won't start, that mid-range Yamaha suddenly feels like the smartest decision you ever made. Let's be honest, every brand claims bulletproof reliability, but Yamaha's mid-range four-strokes actually earned it the old-fashioned way, by working. The F150 especially has become something of a legend. Since its debut in 2004, it's been the go-to choice for charter captains, rescue fleets, and weekend boaters who value starting every single time. These aren't Instagram engines, they're the ones that idle all day, troll for 8 hours straight, and still purr like an apologetic cat. But as every mechanic will tell you, no engine is flawless. Early versions of Yamaha's four-strokes, especially those from the mid-2000s, had one Achilles heel: exhaust corrosion. The issue wasn't widespread chaos, but it did give a few unlucky owners expensive lessons in metallurgy. Yamaha quietly fixed it over time with updated midsections and corrosion-resistant coatings. Today's F90, F115, and F150 models are far better protected, both inside and out. Ask anyone who runs a commercial boat powered by a Yamaha F150, and they'll give you the same smirk. Yeah, she's boring, but she never misses a day. That's probably the best compliment an outboard can get. Reliability with these engines isn't about indestructibility, it's about predictability. They like clean fuel, regular oil, and owners who remember their service intervals. Treat them right, and they'll outlive your trailer tires. Ignore them, and they'll forgive you longer than most motors will. Somewhere between genius engineering and sheer stubbornness, Yamaha turned reliability into a personality trait. The Yamaha F115 is like that quiet kid in class who turns out to be secretly athletic. It doesn't boast or shout, but the moment you open it up, it surprises you. Sitting neatly between the F90 and F150, this 1.8-liter inline-4 has become the go-to repower choice for everything from aluminum fishing boats to 19-foot center consoles. It's light, sips fuel like it's being taxed per drop, and yet somehow still pushes a loaded hull onto plane with ease. When Yamaha released the updated F115B, the biggest news wasn't power, it was weight. The newer model shed about 24 kilograms compared to the older A version, landing around 377 to 386 pounds, depending on shaft length. That might not sound dramatic, but for small hulls, it's the difference between handles nicely and feels like a new boat. It also gained a stronger alternator, essential now that every small boat wants a GPS, fish finder, fridge, and Bluetooth stereo running at once. Owners often describe the F115 as invisible, and they mean it as a compliment. It starts instantly, idles with a polite whisper, and never smells like work. On the water, it's smooth enough that conversations stay at normal volume, even at 4,500 RPM. If the F-150 is the reliable family sedan of outboards, the F-115 is the perfect hatchback. Compact, practical, and more fun than you expect. It's the engine you forget about until you realize it's the reason your weekends always go right. If the F-150 is the family favorite and the F-115 the clever middle child, then the Yamaha F90 is the reliable kid who never causes trouble. You don't hear much about it, mostly because it just works. Built on the same 1.8-liter block as the F115, but tuned slightly differently, the F90 is all about doing more with less. It's light, efficient, and happy to spend its life on 17 to 19-foot hulls that live between family fun and fishing duty. It's one of those engines you forget is even running until you check your fuel gauge and realize you've been cruising for hours on what feels like fumes. Tests show the F90 sipping around 3.5 to 4 gallons per hour at a 25-mile-per-hour cruise, which is nearly absurd for a motor that can push a fully loaded skiff to 40 miles per hour. That kind of efficiency doesn't just save money, it stretches every weekend trip a little farther down the coast. It's also dead simple. No unnecessary tech, no drama, no digital this or that. Just turn the key and it purrs. And because Yamaha kept things mechanical, small shop mechanics love it. They can service it blindfolded. A guide once joked, "My F90's like an old dog. Doesn't bark, doesn't bite, but always jumps in the boat first." That sums it up perfectly. It's not glamorous, but when your only goal is to get there and back, quietly and cheaply, the F90 is the outboard equivalent of common sense. Now we get to the heavyweight of the mid-range lineup, the Yamaha F150. For years, this engine has been the unspoken standard by which other outboards are judged. It's not the biggest, flashiest, or newest, but ask any boat dealer, charter captain, or salty weekend angler what they'd pick for a 22-foot center console, and 9 times out of 10, the answer's the same. Give me an F150. Why? Because it hits the balance almost perfectly. The F-150's 2.7-liter inline-4 delivers a sweet blend of torque, fuel efficiency, and smoothness. It's got just enough grunt to push a deep V-hull through chop without straining, yet it's light enough that your transom won't cry for mercy. Yamaha's more recent updates even brought digital throttle and shift, DEC options, giving this workhorse a taste of modern luxury without losing its old-school dependability. On the water, the F-150 feels relaxed. It's not trying to impress you, it's just quietly doing its job while everyone else argues about who's faster. Factory tests show most 22-foot bay boats hitting 40-plus miles per hour and cruising in the mid-3 miles per gallon range, numbers that would have seemed impossible 20 years ago. Owners rarely sell them because, well, they don't need to. You'll see decade-old F-150s still idling like they rolled off the showroom floor. It's the just works outboard. Boring on paper, brilliant in life, and the reason so many skippers never feel the urge to upgrade. Here's the unglamorous reality. Even Yamaha's bulletproof reputation relies on good habits. These mid-range four-strokes don't ask for much, but ignore them, and they'll eventually remind you who's boss. The beauty, though, is that their maintenance routine is simple enough for anyone with a socket set and a Saturday morning. Oil and filter changes every 100 hours or once a season. Keep them happy. Yamaha's own 10-micron fuel filters are non-negotiable, especially if your local marina treats ethanol like a vitamin supplement. A few bucks on clean fuel today can save you a four-figure repair later. The timing belt? Every 1,000 hours or 5 years, cheap insurance against catastrophic surprises. Corrosion prevention matters too. While newer mid-range Yamahas use improved coatings and stainless hardware, saltwater doesn't discriminate. A freshwater flush after every trip keeps the cooling system clean and the block from turning into a science experiment. Most common hiccups are minor: a sticky fuel pump, a lazy injector, or a crusty spark plug. Nothing dramatic, just the mechanical equivalent of morning grumpiness. The key is consistency, not complexity. Ask any marina tech and they'll say the same thing. The boats that break are the boats that get winterized in August and forgotten until May. The ones that start every year, they belong to owners who treat maintenance like brushing their teeth. Routine, boring, and the secret to a long, worry-free boating life. Every boater eventually asks the same question: is Yamaha really that much better or just really good at marketing? The truth sits somewhere in the middle, and it's flattering. In the mid-range class, Yamaha's biggest rivals are Mercury, Suzuki, and Honda, all of which build seriously competent four-strokes. But where Yamaha tends to edge ahead isn't brute power, it's consistency. Mercury's newer 115 Pro XS and 154-stroke are brilliant performers, quicker off the line, slightly louder, and more aggressive. Suzuki's DF 115 and DF 150 offer silky refinement and outstanding fuel economy. Honda's 90s and 100s and 50s are bulletproof, but sometimes heavy and dated in styling. Yamaha's advantage is familiarity. Mechanics know them, parts are everywhere, and their rigging systems are designed like Lego, clean, compatible, and easy to integrate with boats old and new. Another Yamaha strength is manners. Their mid-range engines idle smoother, shift softer, and carry a steady tone that doesn't drown conversation or the stereo. That refined but tough character makes them a favorite among charter captains who need both durability and civility. Sure, other brands might beat Yamaha on paper by a few horsepower or a fraction of a gallon per hour, but the difference on water is like comparing 2 cups of coffee, one slightly stronger, both doing the same job. One veteran mechanic once put it perfectly: Mercury's like a sports car, Suzuki's like a Lexus, but Yamaha, that's the Toyota Hilux. Not flashy, not fast, but when everyone else calls a tow, you're still fishing. So you've decided a mid-range Yamaha is the move, and now you're scrolling listings trying to spot the hidden gem. Smart. Because buying used can either save you thousands or teach you an expensive life lesson about lightly used, meaning used hard. Start with compression. Even healthy numbers across cylinders tell you more than any coat of fresh paint. Then check the hour meter, but take it with a pinch of salt. 200 gentle hours of cruising can be easier on an engine than 100 hours of constant, wide-open throttle. Ask for a service record. A stack of invoices beats any shiny cowl decal. For older F-150s and F-115s, look closely at the exhaust midsection. Early 2000s models had some corrosion issues, and while most have been fixed or updated, it's worth verifying. A bore scope inspection or mechanic's report is money well spent. Also, peek at the fuel system. Dirty injectors or neglected filters can hint at ethanol problems. Yamaha's injectors aren't fragile, but bad fuel can make them act like teenagers, moody and unpredictable. Lastly, think about charging. If you're running electronics, MFDS, live wells, or lights, check that your model has the alternator output to keep up. The F115 and F150 both deliver 35 to 50 amps, which is plenty for modern setups. A clean, well-serviced Yamaha mid-range might not be cheap, but it's rarely a gamble. Buy smart and you'll likely end up with an engine that runs longer than your patience on a windy day. After all the data, stories, and saltwater hours, the verdict on Yamaha's mid-range four-strokes is surprisingly simple. They're as good as their reputation says, just not in the flashy way people expect. These engines don't make you fall in love instantly. They win you over on the 100th trip when they still sound exactly like they did on the first. The F90, F115, and F150 aren't designed to impress your friends at the ramp. They're built for the person who wants to launch, cruise, fish, and get home without ever wondering, will it start? Their strength lies in balance. Enough torque for real-world boating, enough refinement to keep things civilized, and enough efficiency to stretch your fuel farther than you think. Sure, there are faster motors, flashier ones, even cheaper ones. But Yamaha's mid-range lineup is the boating equivalent of a cast-iron skillet. It's not glamorous, but it'll outlast everything else if you take care of it. These engines thrive on consistency, not luck. Keep the oil fresh, the fuel clean, and the cooling water flowing, and you'll struggle to find a reason to repower. That's why you see them everywhere, from rental fleets to research vessels, from family pontoons to offshore charters. They've quietly become the backbone of recreational boating. So, how good are they really? Let's just say this. If reliability were a personality, Yamaha's mid-range four-strokes would be that calm, capable friend who never panics, always shows up, and never once leaves you stranded. So, what do you think? Is Yamaha's mid-range the unsung hero of boating, or just quietly overrated? Drop your thoughts below, especially if you've racked up serious hours on one. If you found this breakdown helpful, hit subscribe and share it with your boating crew. More honest engine deep dives are coming, and trust me, you won't want to miss them.